We'll just leave it and let you come through with the knowledge right off the bat.
What knowledge?
What you're about to say. I'm assuming it's
Okay.
knowledge.
All right. Can we start?
All right, hold on.
In 3, 2, 1.
All right, I'm ready.
Welcome back. The revival.
What's up, guys? This is episode 5 of the Bad Company podcast. We took a little bit of a break over the past month or so. I think it's been 2 months, to kind of take some feedback that everyone gave us at the beginning, as well as plan forward a little bit. We wanted to make some adjustments to the content that we were providing, as well as like our overall goal slash message for the podcast. So we're going to dive into that a little bit. We've got some things we're planning, like a new segment. So before we do all that, right before we started, Levi had an icebreaker question. So I'm sure it's genius. So let's go ahead and get into that. Go ahead with your icebreaker question.
If you could be any type of tree, what type of tree would you be?
Remember when I said I'm sure it's going to be genius? If I could be any type of tree, I think I would be. I'd be like what are the forest tree? Like an evergreen tree, like a blue cypress tree, or are they just pine trees? I took dendrology, but I can't remember any of the trees, dude.
Okay, so your answer is a pine tree.
Like
Why?
an evergreen tree, because I like the way they look in like forests and stuff. Like if you have them all lined up, I think they're sick.
Okay.
If I compare that to like an acorn tree, ugh.
Okay. Fair enough.
What about you, man?
I would be a palm tree. I'd be a palm tree because just kind of sway,
Go with the flow.
go with the flow. Very hard to break.
Yeah,
Um,
I've got like endurance.
you
though,
know, you see
what I mean?
like no,
Yeah.
you already said your answer. Oh, they
We
look
do.
sick.
You know, and evergreen's got endurance, man. They're there year round, just greened out, baby.
Are they?
Yes, that's why they're called evergreen.
Because they're forever green.
Yeah, they're green year round.
All right. Why don't they call them forever green then? Gotcha.
I think you should enter the biology community.
I think I might. I got
Just
some questions.
Come up with a paper. Why are these called evergreens and not forever greens?
Well, I don't know anything about trees, so
Yeah, someone didn't take dendrology.
I did not. I didn't go to college.
Loser.
I went to junior college. That's a
not
lie.
that you didn't go to college.
Oh, didn't
take dendrology.
this guy.
You didn't.
No, I'm gonna clip that. I'm gonna clip that.
Yeah. Do you wanna give a brief intro, kind of about some of the stuff we've talked about, to better explain the direction that we want with the podcast moving forward?
Sure. I know we wrote it down somewhere.
You want me to read what we wrote down?
Yeah, I think you should, and then we can talk about it.
Okay. All right, so here's the statement we wrote down. I think we're gonna replace our bio with this, and it's probably a little bit drawn out. Maybe we need to make some adjustments, but I think it's pretty good. Me and Levi combined our 2 brain cells to come up with this statement. So I'm sure it could be said better. We're not grammarians, so don't give us a hard time. So the reason we were thinking about this was we had gotten some feedback about, our podcast is not bad per se, but you don't ever know where it's going to go or what direction, like the purpose. So we had to take a step back and think about what did we want out of this podcast, as well as what did we want to deliver to listeners. So this is kind of, I think, a few sentences about what we came up with. So it says, we have created this podcast not only as an outlet to express ourselves, but also as a way to learn from each other's experiences, to engage in conversation with people who are pushing the limits of their potential, and to set a higher standard for those out there trying to get an edge on the competition. In short, growth comes through struggle. We want to dive into those experiences and extract key insights to help our listeners with their own journeys towards their goals. And I think one of the things that I had said, like the in short person, is, do hard shit. And I think we both like the idea of getting to talk about experiences that are found through hardship, that, what is it called? Like when you do hard things, it's like chiseling away at the rock. It's making you like a sharper, what is that phrase? Where it's like,
I don't know. I know there's like iron sharpens iron.
yeah, that's what I'm
Is that what
thinking
you're
of.
thinking of? Okay.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like that comes from doing hard things. And I think we want, from my understanding is, we want to be able to do those things ourselves and talk about the experiences that we're going through, but also talk to other people who are going through those kinds of experiences.
Yeah. I think that kind of nails it and that's why a lot of our conversations are around running. I think like it's not specific. It's not that running is like something so specific, but it's something that gives us a lot of physical struggle and we get a lot of insight from that. And there's like a lot to talk about from that, but it's not, it could be other things too.
Yeah. And I think we could probably talk about that just a little bit as we kind of introduce the direction. Is I also got some feedback about a couple of people asked us like, are you runners? ? Like why running? Or, like why are you talking about these certain topics? And I think that should sum it up. Like basically, I think me and Levi just really like to test ourselves, whether that's at an endurance thing, just anything in life. I think we're pretty competitive, whether that's with other people or with ourselves. But me and Levi didn't start running. When I met Levi, I met him at the gym. So we were both in the gym. I think that was kind of our grind for a period of time. And then I can't remember how did like we get into running? Because I know why I got into running, but did we just have like crossover? Like,
I'm not sure exactly.
How did you get back into it? And then I was like, oh, we're both running.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, because we weren't in a ton of like one-on-one communication, but I think we had a couple conversations, I think, in the gym about you getting into running, or I think Leadville or something.
That was the trigger for me. I was looking
maybe
for
social media. You saw that I did some running like in the past.
I think that might have been what it was.
And maybe
Leadville
that sparked
was
a
my
couple
trigger of like why I want to start. And then maybe I did see that you were running and I was like, yo, you want to run sometime?
Yeah, I was probably running because I think like not super consistently, but as I was lifting, I would have little spurts of like I'd go on like a 3 to 5 mile run.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's where it came from because we had each other on social media, but we are on a quite a bit different stage now, taking it to the next level with the running.
Yeah,
dude, I'm so tired all the time.
So just to reiterate, Levi's got his event coming up in May. MS Run the US, so he's running from Steamboat to
Denver, Colorado.
And
also the Colorado Marathon I'm doing on Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo. I've got friends that hate that I said that on purpose.
Oh, okay.
Cinco de Mayo. They'll listen to this and immediately be upset.
I'm sure.
And then mine's in August. So, and Levi's also going to pace me in that. So it's not just for moving forward. It's not necessarily that we are obsessed with running, et cetera. We do enjoy running, but I think it comes from more of a challenge standpoint. I think we both like the personal challenge. Like he said, tired all the time. Training kind of beats the shit out of you pretty consistently when you get into the thick of it. So I wouldn't say that it's just super enjoyable to be doing all the time, but it's a challenge. And I think figuring out life along the way makes it extra challenging. So for those of you that asked, why running or are you runners? That's kind of the answer to that. But we started in the gym. I met Levi in the gym.
Yeah.
So it's really just, I think, hard work that we kind of bonded over. Do you want to introduce the new segment?
Yeah. So the new segment, the weekly proverb. No, I screwed it up already.
All right, I'll take it over.
All right,
so right back to it. We were going to introduce a new segment. Basically, we were trying to figure out a couple of things that we wanted to add to the podcast as kind of like our own. And Levi came up with an idea of just discussing a little piece that we had individually heard or been told like throughout the week. Just something
I'll go ahead. So basically what we were talking about was like because through like running or reading or something, there's always like something that comes up in my head personally that like sticks out for the week, whether it be like a quote in a book I'm reading, maybe something I saw on social media, something I read in the Bible, what else? Yeah, and like, or even just a thought, even just a thought
Like a
while
conversation
we're
you
working
had with
out. Yeah,
somebody.
conversation, something like that. And so I figured we could kind of just grasp one of those things throughout the week, and me and Andrew can both bring it here to the podcast, and we could have like a 2-3 minute conversation, or let it stretch out, if it opens up more conversation, first 10-15 minutes of the podcast or something like that. We don't have a name for it yet.
Yeah, we do. It's called the Weekly Reflection.
Oh yeah, we do. The weekly reflection. That's nice.
Yeah. But I like that idea in general, because how many things do you think of or you hear during the week, especially with like the volume of social media that you consume?
Yeah.
Like take that as an example, I think I had heard something that was like, I stopped listening and I started hearing. So it's like, instead of, you hear something that's really useful or beneficial to you and it just goes in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
How often does that happen? So instead of just letting that happen on a regular, take a piece or two that you hear throughout the week and actually discuss it. So start hearing it, and don't let it just drift by, and let it actually be impactful. So the new segment is called the Weekly Reflection, and I'm going to let Levi, we're both going to bring one thing to the table and then discuss it. So honestly, today's kind of just an intro back to the podcast. I would be willing to bet that this will probably close out this podcast. It'll be a really short one.
Yeah.
And we'll have it more built out in the future, but let's just go through our weekly reflection. Levi, why don't you go first?
Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this that you brought up to me actually right when you got here. So Proverbs chapter 17, verse 17 says, "A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for a time of adversity." And I love that you brought that, because I had it when I opened up my book, it already had it highlighted. But no, I think that's great. Like, makes you think, that it's easy to be a friend and kind of like love somebody from afar. And it's a lot tougher to kind of step in to somebody else's mess or struggle and really be there for somebody. And I think that's where the brother part comes in. A brother is born for a time of adversity. And yeah, no, I just think that's really a really cool proverb in the Bible, and kind of the friend that challenges me to be that friend, toward the people close in my life. That you want to be there for them in times of adversity, because that's really when it counts. Otherwise, friendships are kind of at a distance or surface level, which is okay. But
fair weather friends.
Yeah. Fair weather friends?
Yeah, fair weather friends is basically like, think of the seasons. The pretty part of your life, your friends are there. The dirty part of your life, the friends are gone. Like, think sun, rain.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think too, like, friendship, we've never talked about this, but I think friendship is a huge part of this podcast. Like, diving deeper into friendship and like relationship with each other, with others, and kind of through all these things that like we talk about, also being able to unpack and pick apart the things inside our own minds in order to have the goal of improving, as a friend, as a spouse, as a competitor, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember how I found that quote, but I just really liked it. I'm still finding my way when it comes to religion, but I do think it helps me out a lot. But I just think a friend isn't always going to be just the person that's in the fucking mud with you. you know, someone who's actually going to be in the mud, you know, even if it's like not a bad situation. So like take your race, for example.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are just in that race with you or like are genuinely running those days with you, etc. Like those are not easy things to do. That's just a simple way of being like, that's adversity. That's not like an easy thing to go through. And I think that, you know, two sides of the coin is someone who's willing to join you on your journey. And then you also have the other side where, you know, say I lose my house, Levi, can I sleep on your couch?
Mm-hmm.
If you were to say, like, you know, that's a brother as well. That's a friend, but that's not an easy thing to say yes to or just allow someone to do. So I just like the idea. I think it's just so different between the normal friendship side and someone who, for lack of a better word, is just whatever you're going through is just willing to help you out or join you in the trenches.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's huge. I think you nailed it. I mean, Christian or not, the book of Proverbs has so much wisdom in it. It's a fun book to go over. But yeah, so what about yours?
It's something I've just been kind of mowing over in my head recently. I posted it on my story the other day. It's a quote from Kipchoge, and I haven't really heard Kipchoge talk that much. For those of you who don't know, Kipchoge is, I think now he would be considered. Okay, so he ran the fastest marathon of all time, but that was kind of like guided and all that stuff. I think now that individual, you know, that guy who died, he was like 23. He broke Kipchoge's marathon record, but yeah. So I think Kipchoge now he's still considered maybe the greatest marathon runner of all time because he broke the 2-hour record, but it was unofficial. But nonetheless, Eliud Kipchoge is one of, if not the greatest marathon runner of all time. He had a quote, and it's like, it's about discipline. And he said, if you're not disciplined, you're a slave to your emotions or your moods. And if you're not disciplined, you are a slave to your dreams.
Say that one more time.
So I think it was 2 separate sentences, but he said, if you are not disciplined, then you are a slave to your moods. And if you're not disciplined, you're a slave to your dreams.
Mm.
And I really like that. I've just been kind of mowing over what it means or kind of like the depth of it. I think it's pretty obvious what it means is, you know, be disciplined. I mean, I feel like there's a couple of things that go into it if you're not disciplined. So say something throws you off or, you know, Levi gets me mad for a day. Do I let Levi's, you know, words or actions fuck up my entire days? Or can I just have I used to like this. One of my friend's mom used to say this. She was like, you always get like your 5-minute pity party. And then after that, it's time to get on with your life. You can't let one instance just ruin your entire day. So I've kind of like held on pretty tight to that because I think it's important to like recognize the situation you're in. But then you do have to be disciplined and, you know, move on with your day. Start knocking off tasks. Whether that is your run, like something happens to you, is that going to let it affect your training schedule for the day? You know, did you not eat? Did that affect your training? So there's like so much that goes into that. And then the dream portion of it, I feel like every time you're not disciplined or say you do have a dream, it's going to remain a dream. The disciplined you is the version that does what you need to do to make that dream come true. Now, there's a lot that goes into that, like being intentional. There's other things along that train of thought, but discipline's at the base. You can't really have any of it without discipline. Our dreams will always be dreams because you'll never get to the point or put in the work to get to that dream and make it more of a reality.
Yeah.
He's a great example. Imagine the amount of like just pure hours or miles that he had to do to get to where he is the greatest marathon runner of all time. I don't think people understand how crazy that is. Like that, his time split. People have tried to hold his time split on. Have you seen that on a treadmill?
Mm-mm.
There's like a competition. It's like, how long can you hold Eliud Kipchoge's marathon pace?
That's sweet.
It'll be like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Heart rate 185.
Yeah.
He's in zone 2 for 2 hours. Like he's just the definition of discipline.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really like being able to want the end result more than the immediate gratification, like being a slave to your emotion. Like right now, I'm like almost at the peak of my training, and like hitting like peak mileage on my weekly runs and stuff like that. And like emotionally, I am having a hard time going out and running 6 miles,
Yeah.
and I could find plenty of excuses to skip it or do something else, do cross train, do something I want. But like, that's going to bite you in the butt later on.
Yeah.
When you toe the line. And so, yeah, like if I give in to like my immediate emotion of what I want to do, then it's going to screw me up later on.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to have had that discipline or been consistent.
That's something I was talking to Amanda about the other day. She was like, I'm just not in it today. She's like, help me out here. Tell me something. And there's actually a piece of this story that I hold pretty close to my chest, but I'll probably talk about later on because it's personal. But one of the things I told her along the lines of like the discipline thing is, how many people are trying to do the races in the world? There's actually like quite a few people that are trying to do the ultra things, right? Every single person has the same feelings you do. It's going through the same amount of tired as you are. But if they can do it, why can't you? Everyone has those emotions.
Yeah.
It's how you respond to those emotions that makes you different from another person.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. And I think it really does take like some sort of win or like success to have in order to like prove to yourself that like the process works,
Yeah.
having like small wins.
I think you have to accept small wins. I think if you just like brush them off, then it can be difficult because all you see is the big win.
Yeah.
Which is true. It's good to see the big win, but I think it's important to acknowledge your small wins. I used to not do that. I used to not do that. And then whenever the big win wouldn't work out, I would just tank down. It would like emotionally destroy me because I was only looking at the top of the mountain and not the steps that I needed to get there instead of focusing like day by day. So I think it's a huge point actually, is like acknowledge and accept small wins because they help you. They move you forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Winning the day.
Little by little.
That's good. One of my buddies from church casually came up to me on Easter yesterday.
Sourdough?
No. Oh, this is actually pretty cool. I didn't tell you about, but like when I thought about it afterward. So kind of like a mutual friend at church who I know like very like surface leveled. He comes up to me. I was just talking to T before service, and he was like, "Hey, I heard you've been running a ton lately, and so I just want to let you know, me and some other guy, we're gonna run an ultra in September." And I was like, "Oh, that's sweet." And he's like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a 50 miler in Crescent Butte." He's like, "You should run it with us." And I was like, and then I told him, I was like, "Yeah, like I mostly gravitate toward like the marathon, and then I'm doing something different with the relay this year." And we talked a little bit, and I just told him like that sounds awesome, but I can't commit to anything right now because I'm just like I need to just focus on May, the month of May right now, and this is like September. So I told him that sounds awesome. Send me the link, and like I'll think about it. And then afterward, me and T were talking about it, and I was like, it's actually kind of sick. Some dude just came up to me and very casually asked me to join him in an ultra race.
I bet, you know what is like, I'm sure if you hear someone's doing it, you're like, oh.
Yeah, he was excited.
Like,
yeah.
It's a small population of people that do it. So it's like, dude, come on, let's go.
Yeah, like, I know, just like thinking about it, I was like, casually on Easter, just coming over and, we don't even talk that much, but like, asked me if I want to run 50 miles with you in on the trails in Crescent Butte. Like, it's a That's not a casual ask.
casual run either.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I thought that was sweet. I was looking into it, so I have it up on one of my tabs here.
Sick, dude.
So do you want to do it?
Huh?
So you want to do it too?
When is it?
September.
March, April, May, June, July,
September
August.
28th, the end of September.
Dude, I'm not gonna.
You'll be in peak shape, bro.
I'm either gonna be in peak shape or the worst shape ever.
You'll be in peak shape because Leadville's in August.
When's sign up deadline?
I don't know. It goes up. I don't know if it'll sell out or what, but it goes up in June or something like that.
I would have to make that like an after Leadville thing. You know,
Understandable.
I'd have to see how I feel like weeks after. I think,
Mhm.
but that's a drive for us, so it's not like I gotta buy.
I've never been to Crested Butte.
Yeah, we didn't go snowboarding there when it was on the pass. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I think it was because it was further away.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Another thing you really got me looking into is freaking the High Rock stuff.
High Rocks.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd be down to do something like that next year.
dude, I watched like an entire like event.
It's cool.
Like it's like it took like a little less than an hour.
Yeah, it's about an hour long.
One dude just dominated the whole thing, but that is something I would want to look into after all this running stuff is.
I'd think about doing a duos next year for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet, dude.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell the listeners what that is? Kind of.
I mean,
Because I think it's sick.
I can't describe it perfectly, but from my understanding is it's more it started in the UK and it has migrated to the US and it's gotten pretty big pretty fast. Think about like a CrossFit Open, but take out all the torn ACLs. So there's a lot. It's just endurance based. So instead of a barbell snatch and clean for your max weight and max reps, you've just got like 100 wall balls. So it's still an exercise. You're still moving functionally, but you have to. I think it's more endurance and less just heavyweight endurance. So there's like sled pushes, wall balls, ski erg, row, airdyne, things like that.
Yeah, and you're running like 3/4 of a mile in between each event, and it's a race.
Yeah, so it's just endurance, but you're less likely to tear every joint in your body doing it, or just destroy every joint in your body. So that's something I brought up to him, and we might highly consider next year.
I think we should do it for sure.
I don't want to do it and then just get wrecked. Like if I'm gonna do it, I want to prep for it.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. And the cool thing is, I looked into it, and it's like there is no like this is how you train for it.
No,
it seems it's so new.
I've got friends that train for it, and their training it'll be like 45 minutes long, as hard as you can possibly go, and every exercise done.
Yeah, it's so new though, and like up and coming is what it seems like. Just off what I read, that there is no like blueprint for like like a marathon. Like this is how like a smart way to train for a marathon. There's like everyone's just kind of trying things out right now.
Yeah, but I think the one thing I like about it is everyone just has a good time, man.
That's what
it's endurance and it's hard as shit, but everyone has a good time and it's very community based. Like I said, I think it's more along the lines of CrossFit. We don't need to get into my dislike for CrossFit, but it has just like bodybuilding doesn't have that type of like cardiovascular endurance. And so I just miss sometimes having that aspect of it. It doesn't have to be running. I just like a challenge, Yeah. It seems like a good challenge where I'm not going to hurt myself really, really bad.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't have to be running, but running is the most functional cardiovascular exercise there is by far, right?
Relax, Kipchoge.
It is, right? What's more functional than running?
I don't know. I mean, it is just superhuman. Like it's just foundational.
I think
or carrying.
I heard my buddy David say one time that like humans are like the best like long distance runners out of like anybody, like animals.
It's because
included.
So there was like a small piece on this the other day, and the guy got asked. I think he's a biologist. I can't remember, but he studies like ancient peoples and stuff along the lines of like sleep patterns, etc. So he just studies the human, right? And the guy asked him, he was like, what's like one exercise that I can't remember the guy's name. Sorry, he was on DOAC's podcast, but they asked him, "Was like, what's one exercise you're probably not including that you should include in your training?" And he was like, "Carries." He's like, "That's what makes humans unique. It's not only can we, say you're going to catch a cheetah, right? Humans can catch a cheetah because if it runs as fast as it can away from us, we can just
keep running.
Yeah, we're not going to run as fast, but we have the endurance to keep running, find its location, etc. But not only was he saying, humans have evolved to do that, but we can carry it. The goal is to go do that, but also carry everything back. He was like, so a lot of people don't include carries. He's like, that's what we've like evolved for, is like carrying heavy loads over long distances. So you have to go out to hunt, and then you've got to bring your prize all the way back. So it was kind of like running and carrying, or like the two foundational things, which I thought was really interesting.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah. Maybe on the next podcast, I'll just say that guy's name, but it's a really good podcast. It's on DOAC, Diaries of a CEO.
Oh, so that's from a podcast you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, he is a guest on this podcast.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that wraps up episode 5 for us. But thanks for everyone's feedback, the first 4, and letting us figure some things out for ourselves of how we want to do things moving forward. A special thanks to Shannon for continuously critiquing everything we do on our podcast, which I actually appreciate. So thank you. Thanks to Erica for letting us use her equipment, as well as giving me the right way to do the podcast, which she told us at the beginning how to do it. I said, nah, we can do it this way. Didn't work out for us, and here we are doing it her way. So thanks to all the people who have helped us. We look forward to moving into the next few episodes, as well as everything that brings in the future. So thank you guys. This is episode 5. Also, Levi forgot his LaCroix. So the inconsistency on his part at the beginning of this podcast is disgusting.
That's my bad.
Yeah, he always cracks one. So 1 through 4, he cracked one. And this time he was not prepared at all. And I walked through the rain to get to his apartment to shoot this podcast. And he couldn't even give me the decency of cracking the LaCroix at the beginning. Anyway.
I didn't know that was your favorite part, dude. Sorry, I would have bought some.
Typical.
Next time. I tell you what, next time I'll get a Topo Chico, the bottled ones.
Yeah. All right. We just need to figure out consistency, man. We got to do it every time. All right, guys. That is episode 5. We'll see y'all at 6. Yay!